of culture, gender, sexuality, tradition, business, and so much more. Hi, I'm Regina Gershman.
And I'm Dr. Sam Dubé. Together, we're going to take you on an extraordinary journey with engaging people from around the world, starting from right here in Ottawa, the capital of Canada.
In this edition of the Etiquette Show, meet the creator of the Troll Cat comic book. And if you're a writer who is contemplating transforming your manuscript into a potential bestseller, you won't want to miss what a famous book marketing specialist has to say. Nick will then begin his special series for great food lovers in our efforts to support amazing New York City restaurants, cafes, and bakeries during the pandemic. Asadia will then introduce us to a New York City doctor who has not only been on the front lines of the pandemic, but also had some time to bring families together with his new book of poems. Last but not least, Patrick Holford will give us a preview of an interview with Dr. Sam Dubé about the magic of one particular vitamin in further empowering your efforts to stay healthy during the pandemic. Hello, my beautiful friends, and welcome back to the Etiquette Show. I'm Conchetta Rose. Today on the Etiquette Show, we have cartoonist, animator, musician, and YouTube video maker with over 15 years experience in multimedia and graphic design, creator of Troll Cat Comics, Santhosh Christudas. Santhosh, thank you so much for being here with us today.
It's my absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. All right, let's get right into it. Who or what is Troll Cat?
Troll Cat. Well, Troll Cat is misadventures of a very mischievous cat who's very human-like, but of course he's in the body of a cat. He likes to get into trouble, sometimes for the fun of it, sometimes to make a little bit of extra money on the side, and moreover, he gets away with it because he's a little cat. And that's why I always loved cats, so my character is very focused on that. And basically he's just a little troublemaker. He's got a good heart, but it takes you have to really get to know him more and more to see that. And of course he has his little drinking problem here and there, and a little partying issues, like a lot of us, Exactly. But he somehow goes through life like he's like a tumbleweed that just goes through life. He meets new characters along the way. He also lives with a guy that he's kind of a loser, and he doesn't really have too many friends. So he kind of buddies up with him so that he doesn't have to pay rent, things like that. Free food, like a lot of cats do in real life, kind of.
So what inspired you to create this?
I've grown up with cats my whole life, and of course I'm a huge fan of Calvin and Hobbes, and of course Garfield was a huge inspiration as well, and those are very famous comics that I grew up reading in the New Jersey. And so what I wanted to do was I wanted to create something that would combine my love of comics and of course my love of cats, and of course put them in a more human perspective, so that he's out and about and he's talking and things like that. And I noticed a lot of comics, they tend to have the animal character more just thinking, but not really directly interacting with the humans. But I really liked, for example, the comic Bloom County, where there was a talking penguin, and of course Heathcliff also. So I wanted to kind of combine the magic of Calvin and Hobbes with Heathcliff, and just make it a bit not too child friendly, but at the same time it's can attract people of all ages.
Yeah,
so they can all laugh. Yes,
that's so interesting that you bring up that most cats, or I shouldn't say cats, most animals in comics don't actually verbalize. It's a thought bubble that happens. Yes. With Troll Cat, he is right in your face, isn't he?
Yes, he is. And I know it's breaking a bit of the reality boundaries, but hey, it's a cartoon, right? So you just want to,
In his world, he speaks, and he's very forward, and he's very opinionated. I love that about him.
Thank you.
A little bit. So what's your goal for Troll Cat? Are you doing comics? Are you doing a cartoon series? What's the goal?
Right now I'm focusing, of course, on my new book that's out on Amazon. And of course, you can visit our website, trollcatcomics.com. And yeah, like my goal, of course, is always to entertain, whether it's through comics, whether you read it on my Facebook page, or you, of course, there is also an animated series that's done by Kazam Studio, and that's also available on YouTube. So I'm just taking it, I'm just seeing where it goes right now in terms of goals. Whatever book sales we get, we're going to use it to, reach more people with, animations, because I'm a huge fan of course, Family Guy, those kind of things. So, hey, maybe ultimately one day if I can get my own TV show or something like that, that would be a dream come true. So
well, keep putting it out into the universe, right?
Yes.
If you think, believe it, it will come to you. And
exactly.
Trollcat has a very serious future ahead of him for sure.
Thank you.
Tell me, did I read this correctly? You originally created Trollcat for just your friends?
Yes, originally it was something, I would feature some of my friends in it, like little caricatures of all our little funny stuff. And I would just, post it for fun on my Facebook feed, just for my friends. And eventually my friends said, hey, this is pretty good. You should start your own Facebook page for it, and maybe, have your own website. So I went ahead and did that. And I've been doing it since about 2011, on and off. But now I'm doing it, of course, more consistently. Right. And it's growing. And people, especially now, with all these things going on in the world right now, a lot of sensitive issues. I like to always use Trollcat as a medium to make people laugh, regardless of your political sides, regardless of what you think is going on right now. Just have a little laugh, about it. And of course, think about it as well. And I don't like to offend anybody, but at the same time, I like to address certain issues that are going on. Yeah.
So he's a great medium to really voice your opinion, isn't he?
Yes. So voice my opinion. Of course, we all have our opinions, right? And what I like to do is not enforce my opinion completely on the cat, but also have different kind of characters. Because for example, the cat is a bit right-leaning, but the owner that he lives with is a bit left-leaning. So there's a clash there. So because they're both dependent on each other, and in reality, we are dependent on each other. If you really think about it, I mean, we all have the same ambitions in life. We all have we all need to love and respect each other. So I hope Trollcat comics will be one of those things that really brings people together rather than divide them. Yeah, and that's my ultimate goal.
What a beautiful way to approach your artwork as well. So
thank you.
Thanks for putting stuff like that out there. We appreciate it.
No problem. No problem.
So I want to talk specifically about certain comics that I saw on your site.
Yes,
there was really stood out to me that I thought I just laughed out loud. One of them was the vegan episode. The vegan. Sorry, vegans out there. Don't mean to offend, but it
exactly.
is.
Yeah.
I love that one, and I love it. Tell us more about the funny ways not to approach women.
Since it's the Etiquette Show, yes. So the loser that he kind of lives with is always trying to approach women. Like, he goes over the top. Like, he's got, in one comic, he has the flowers and the candy. He doesn't even know this woman, and he's just pouring his heart out to this woman. And it's a little bit awkward. You're coming on a bit too strong, right? And I've been there, I'm a guy, so I come on a bit too strong. It's better to be a little bit more subtle in some ways, or because you don't want to be looked down like somebody that's too desperate, right? And that's not going to help you in the dating world for sure. And in another one that this one I really like, and a lot of my friends laugh at it a lot, is the one where a woman has a lot of bags in her hand, and she's struggling to be on the bus or the train. And Trollcat offers a seat, but if only if she pays him $1.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Or a couple of bucks. And then the guy, his loser friend kind of just stands up and says, "Oh, no, please, ma'am, take my seat," And at first he's very happy and grateful, and she finds it kind of charming. But immediately he goes on to ask her number. So what's her number?
I love that. And she said, "I should have paid the $2, right?"
Yeah, and the cat says, "Yeah, you should have just paid the $2." Because you got to respect their boundaries as well, right? Especially when you first meet somebody.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's,
so I love that Troll Cat tends to like walk the fine line of positive and negative in what he puts out into the world, but you, author and creator, you constantly are putting out positivity, and you're giving it this spin, and you're, in a way, you're making us reflect. I know it's a comic, but sometimes when we leave ourselves open in terms of laughter and stuff like that, something in our heart kind of opens up, and we can a little more easily than if someone's saying, you do this, or this is the way you are.
Yeah.
If we laugh at it, we go, oh yeah, I can relate to that.
Exactly.
Excellent for that.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, like I said, I like to show, you got to show both the negative and the positive. The positive is great. It uplifts us. It brings us to the next level in life. But at the same time, the negative teaches us a valuable lesson, right? And I find both the characters kind of play off each other in that way, where, the cat has his own wisdom, like, don't be too desperate and like be cool. But at the same time, he kind of, tends to take it too far. Like he drinks too much, or he doesn't really work. He lounges a lot on the couch with the other guy. But the other guy, he sort of teaches him like, hey, listen, you gotta, get your stuff together. If you have you can't be like, just hanging out with your friends. And the cat, of course, hangs out with a moose and a beaver. That's Canadian. It's very Canadian based. So
that's great. I love that. So how many comics are there in total? Do you have any?
That's a great question. Well, the book itself has about like 60 comics. And of course, there are more comics on the website, about like maybe in total, maybe 100 or more. And new ones coming in every time I get a chance. And I used to do it black and white, but now I'm just in the process of making it into color. So, yeah.
So cool. So what got you interested in animation to begin with?
Well, I grew up with cartoons my whole life. Like, I'm a big fan of Disney, and, Mickey Mouse and all that stuff, the good stuff. And of course, comic strips have always been, I used to, like whenever like my father got the newspaper, I would always like read the comics. That was the first thing I would hit. Yep. So over the years, and then I learned to draw a bit more and more, because I found that as a great way as a creative outlet for both my emotions, what's going on in my life. And, so yeah, definitely a great outlet. So I guess, cartooning, became and I also love to hear people laugh, whatever I draw. If it's making people laugh, I'm very happy with that. It's that's that giving and positivity that I was talking about earlier. Yes. Thank you. So it started out as a comic, right? Yeah. What made you launch into animation? Do you think that's like a way of the future, and you were just kind of keeping up? Yeah, definitely. I think YouTube was a big influence to really start me to animate more and more, because YouTube reaches a lot of people. And the thing is, on YouTube, it's not really cool. I mean, you can, if you want, just put the comic one at a time, and then it's like a slideshow, right? But I was always thinking, hey, why not just make, it doesn't have to be like Disney level animation, but do what you can to make the cat kind of move around a bit. Yeah. And it's funny enough, I also got an opportunity with Disney XD once. They were looking for a pilot episodes, and I made something called the Troll Cat app, which they liked, and it actually got made into that. So definitely animating it has helped me reach a lot more people. And then, of course, animation is a great tool, I find. Interesting. Yeah. Do you think that has to do with our technology advances in terms of, I've been talking with a bunch of book authors this week as well, and book marketers, and saying that it's kind of reading itself is sort of a little bit antiquated at this point. I don't want it to be. I love to read. I am such an advocate for reading, but that's what I'm thinking in terms of how animation can kind of reach more people, because that's what we do, right? We sit down in front of a screen and we watch something. We don't necessarily read something as easily. Yes. Like in the reading world now, audiobooks are getting more and more popular, right? Like people are listening to the words. Yeah. So in the same way, I was thinking maybe comics can, also, as you said, the technology's improved so much now. Everybody has a basic computer and, like all these, softwares like Adobe Animate, which is much more affordable now compared to maybe in the 80s and stuff. You'd need a team to do an animation.
Right.
Now the technology. So, take it to your advantage, I would say. Like either you can do it yourself as even if you're a comic book artist, you can, start animating a little bit, learning. There's so many tutorials you can learn from, or you can approach an animator or like a team that wants to do something, work with you. And even if you can't get it on TV, you can at least get it on the web, right? Because everybody YouTube is a huge market for that, like people love animations in general. So do both.
So how can our friends get in touch with you, watch TrollCat, keep up with TrollCat? How can they reach out to you?
The first place to go, of course, would be the website, trollcatcomics.com. And of course, you can also join our Facebook page, which is simply facebook.com/trollcatcomics. And you can, of course, pick up a book on Amazon. Just search for TrollCat Comics and it should show up. And you can also join me on my YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/JackBliss, where I post animations of TrollCat. And in addition to that, I also put like my music videos and my other animations and all my other creative works out there, which are both funny and enlightening. So you can get to know me more than just of course, the comic, the man behind the comic as well, a bit more about that. So I'm very passionate about all types of mediums of art. So I like to experiment with as much as I can and, learn from my comments and my subscribers and see which, I also find the views are a big indicator of what people like. So if you can use that to your advantage, then it's great. So lots of ways to reach me. So
that's fabulous. And show us the book one more time and tell us where.
Of course.
Fabulous book.
So yes, right now you can find it on Amazon, and you can buy it in ebook or a print copy. I would suggest the print. Then there's something to hold on to, right? And it's nice and glossy. It's fully colored, so you can And then of course you can visit our website trollcatcomics.com to read the new comics that have not been published yet in the book. And of course we're hoping to release another book soon.
Amazing. Santhosh, thank you so much for being here with us.
No problem. Thank you so much, Conchetta, for having me, and greetings to you from Canada, Ottawa.
Absolutely. Thank you guys. We'll see you next time.
All right, take care. Bye.
Hello, my beautiful friends, and welcome back to the Etiquette Show. I'm Conchetta Rose. Today on the Etiquette Show, we have a book marketing expert and author of 1001 Ways to Market Your Books, mentor to authors who have sold over 1 billion books, and founder of the Billion Book Initiative to help the next generation of book authors sell another 1 billion books. Today we have John Kremer. John, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks a lot, Conchetta.
Fabulous. How are you doing? Everything good over there?
It is. I live on the side of a mountain in Taos, New Mexico, so it's a sunny blue day today. And
you're making me and probably all of our viewers very moments. Well, that's amazing. So let's get it right into it.
One thing that means is that you can market a book from anywhere.
Ah, yes, that's a very good point. That's a good point. So how do you sell a book?
You create relationships. You find people that, have influence, have a radio show, a podcast, a blog, something like that, and you connect with them. You try to find a way. You're looking for people that have the audience you're trying to reach. In the case of you, I don't know what your audience is, so I have no idea if they're interested in marketing books. But, when I reach out to people on my own, I'm looking for people that, have an audience, at least of authors. And the neat thing is, almost any media is going to have a general audience, which will be 10 to 20% authors at least.
Hmm. That's fascinating. So it's really about networking in a sense.
It is. It's about networking. It's about creating relationships that will help you along. You're looking for people who already have the audience you want to reach because, most first-time authors, they haven't built an audience. They don't, they have no audience at all. Or they may have an audience, but it's not the audience that their book is. They might be an engineer that wrote a novel.
Right. So what would be your advice to first-time authors, like you just explained, like you just gave an example of?
Well, there are two main things in today's world that you would want to do. Some sort of internet marketing where you're reaching out to people, not necessarily on social media. I don't really find social media that useful, other than Pinterest. I love Pinterest because it's easy to target the people you want to reach. But Facebook, Twitter, not so much. I see a lot of authors get lost in social media, and and they don't have an audience there, so it really doesn't make sense unless you do a FaceTime with somebody who has your audience, the audience you want to reach. The second thing besides internet marketing is getting out and speaking. And for a lot of authors, that's scary. They're going, wow, I don't know how to speak in public, and all that. And the thing is, for most people, it's just a matter of getting the experience. You just have to get out there and do it. Because when you connect with people, like speaking like now, or speaking live in front of a bookstore audience, or, some club, a garden club, library, whatever, if people hear you speak and they like what you say, they're going to go out and try to find your book.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you want. And you're starting to build a relationship. And the other part of that is that if they've heard you speak, they're more invested in you. So that means they're going to tell more people than if they had just heard about your book from a friend and don't know nothing about you, don't care about you,
Right.
Whatever.
Right. I think in today's world, I think we perhaps use social media incorrectly in a sense, right? Like social media is a beautiful thing as to connect with people, to even start a network, in different venues and stuff like that. But at the same time, what you're saying, if I wrote a book, my instinct would be post, on all my social media, try to get people to see it, try to reach people. But it's funny that you say, in that sense, that that's not really all that helpful if people still don't know who you are to begin with.
Right. And again, I use social media. I use Facebook. I use Twitter, but I use it to create relationships. I'm looking for people I can connect with. And I've connected with people on Twitter, Facebook, etc. In that way. And then created a relationship where we ended up doing a Zoom meeting or another chat program or something like that, audio interview, a podcast.
Right.
The really neat thing in today's world right now is the number of podcasts that are out there that, and they target every audience you could possibly reach. And I even, somebody may invite me to be on their podcast and they have an audience of 3 people, something like that. But I will still go on and be interviewed because you don't know how big they're going to grow and how big their audience is going to grow. And their podcast will be there for like forever, possibly.
Right. It does linger somewhere out in the realms of wherever podcasts reside.
Right. And somebody might hear it who's got a big audience and wants to interview you. You don't know where all the connections are going to come from.
Right.
But the author's job is to start the word of mouth for the book. 80% of all books are sold by word of mouth.
Mm.
So the process is that the author, because who else is going to do it, has to start thinking about, let's start building an audience. Let's get some people out there talking about my book. And then somewhere in that process, hopefully magic will happen. You hit somebody with a big time influencer who likes your book, falls in love with it. I mean, Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen of Chicken Soup for the Soul has sold thousands and thousands of my books because they fell in love with it.
Wow, that's amazing. So how can people reach you? How can they follow you or reach you for your services?
The best way is my website at bookmarketingbestsellers.com.
Fabulous. It says it right there in the title. If you want a bestseller, find John.
Yes, yeah.
So much for being here on the Etiquette Show.
Sure. It's been fun.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you next time. Hello, my lovely friends, and welcome back to the Etiquette Show. I'm Conchetta Rose. Las Delicias Patisserie is a boutique artisanal bakery producing high-end gluten-free pastries baked with the finest ingredients locally sourced. All of their products are kosher, vegetarian, all-natural, and non-GMO. Today on the Etiquette Show, we have founder, owner, and chef DeBorah Brenner. DeBorah, thank you so much for being with us here today.
My pleasure. It's really wonderful to join you, Conchetta, and to tell people what we're all about.
Yes. So tell everyone, what is on
I couldn't hear you.
Las Delicias?
What's the new thing about what's the improvement? What do we do different?
Yes. Tell us.
Absolutely. So we are the only gluten-free bakery, because we started about 12 years ago, that is able to do gluten-free. That tastes not only amazing, but we're able to treat the dough as if it had the gluten properties. That means that we're able to mold it, twist it, stretch it, fold it, roll it, which is almost impossible in gluten-free. So I've been working with many, many tests throughout years. Since my husband was diagnosed with celiac, and I was able to develop this proprietary technique. So we're able, for example, to make gluten-free challah, in which we're actually braiding the challah. We're able to make gluten-free rugelach, in which we can take the dough, stretch it very, very thin, fill it, roll it, babka, all those incredible things which nobody thought they could be gluten-free, and make it gluten-free. So I am from Argentina originally, and we started being part of the green market at Union Square Market back for 10 years. Unfortunately, since COVID hit, we had to stop our attendance at the market, and we are currently just selling online and through very, very large distributors like Fresh Direct or other places in which we have at heart, philosophically, like the Parks Club Food Co-op or Zabers. But I love what I do, and what I try to do is to infuse that passion into pastry. So when people bite, that pastry can take them places.
I love philosophy. I'm a big food fan, obviously. Philosophy is just, it's your passion. You're putting your passion into your work. So how are you doing this? How are you making gluten-free things that taste and behave like gluten-filled things?
I would not tell you that. It's a secret. That's why it's called a proprietary technique. It's a trade secret. It took me years and years to be able to develop, but I'm able to share it through, the way we make our products.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. You guys are currently, because of the times, because of COVID, you guys are currently delivering. Is that true?
Delivering and shipping all over the U.S.
Oh,
California, Washington State, anywhere in the continental U.S. People put all the orders online. We ship from Monday to Wednesday, and it goes everywhere.
That's fabulous. So I'm in Staten Island, so I can order from you guys today and something delicious inside of me by this evening.
Not really, because a messenger to Staten Island is going to cost you a lot of money. I want to save you money, so we'll probably ship Monday. You'll get it Tuesday.
Okay.
But, yes,
I'll do that then.
I have to put myself in the shoes of my consumers, and
That's fabulous.
try for them to get the best at the best possible price.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Do you have a favorite thing that you make?
If I have what?
Do you have a favorite thing that you make? A favorite dish on the menu?
Yes. My favorite dish is an Italian almond cake. My grandmother was Italian, and this cake is the most magic thing in the world. It's a cake that has nothing and has everything.
Wow.
It has no oil, it has no margarine, it has no butter, it has no fats, it has no dairy. It's gluten-free.
There's nothing in that.
No, but it has nothing and it has everything. It's like a little black dress, like a little black dress. You can dress it up, you can dress it down, you can, go to work in the morning, or you used to be able to go to work in the morning in the office. And then you could put some accessories and just go to a party. That's what this cake is. It's phenomenal. And if you have any leftovers, I tell people to slice it, put it in the oven, and they can make biscotti.
Oh man, you are speaking in my language completely. So our host in the field, Yanni, had the pleasure of visiting Las Delicias Patisserie this week. Yanni?
All right, I'm Nick Catucci here for the Etiquette Show at Las Delicias Patisserie with DeBorah Brenner.
Very, very well.
Thank you. I've been practicing my French. So, DeBorah, what is your motivation for opening Las Delicias?
Well, what happened is about, in 2002, my husband was diagnosed with celiac disease after having 18 surgeries all over the world. So we were in Germany saving his life in ICU, and since then, he's on a gluten-free diet. Now, nobody knew in 2002 what gluten-free was. You would go to a place and says, I want gluten-free. Nobody had a clue. And if you had gluten-free, it was inedible. So my challenge, I had come from over 20 years in banking, and at that point I was really saving his life, was, okay, I'm going to make the best gluten-free. That's a challenge. I love challenges. And I did. So what we did is we have a proprietary technique to deal with gluten-free as if it had the properties of gluten. So as you can see, we can twist the dough, we can mold it, we can sheet it, we can twist it. Typically, people who bake gluten-free, what they do is they make a liquid batter and they just put it in a mold and they pray that it's edible. So we have been doing this probably for quite a number of years. We ship all over the United States because they can't live without us. And we love what we do. We feel that we have something unique, and we feel that, we're sharing on the good.
Very cool, DeBorah. So how can people find your products?
Well, they can go to our website, which is a very long name, lasdeliciaspatisserie.com. And at this point, we have closed all our retail locations, meaning that when they go to the site, they press shop, and they're going to see everything. We ship all over the United States. And if you are in New York and you have a terrible urge to eat something right away, we can send a private delivery.
Excellent. So people are looking for good gluten-free baked goods. What really, we just tried some. They're amazing. No, they don't taste.
Most of what we do tastes gluten-free. Otherwise, I would not do it. My challenge was to make to take the restriction and kind of like free the restriction. So I took the free out of gluten-free. It obviously has no gluten, but I want people who have the need to eat without gluten to try something that's fantastic.
Well, you've done a fantastic thing for your husband, and you've done a fantastic thing for the people who can access your baked goods here.
Absolutely.
What separates you from the other gluten-free bakeries?
What separates us is that we're not just making something that, oh no, it has no gluten. We make a product that's phenomenal, whether it has gluten or not. The idea is that a lot of the breads we make, a lot of the rugelach, the babkas we make, which require to stretch them super thin, to mold them, to roll them, to twist them, to basically work as if it were real dough. Nobody does that. Nobody has that.
Very cool.
We are the only ones who have that, and people can't believe it's gluten-free. That's we put magic, we sprinkle magic like in Cinderella, and we're like dun, 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 and then things taste great.
We can taste the magic. Thank you, Deborah.
Magic, right? Yeah.
Thank you. And back to you in the studio from the beautiful Bronx, New York.
with the Etiquette Show, and with me I have Michael Lee, author of Not Gonna Write Poems. And how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm very excited. I want to hear more about this. I want to hear exactly what was the moment you just decided, I'm going to write a book, I'm going to publish it.
Well, it kind of started at the end of 2017 when I got the idea in my head.
Yeah.
I was inspired by the poetry and illustrations of Shel Silverstein. He's a very famous American poet. He wrote 14 books of poetry. And my family and I, we love to read and look at his books of poetry. So we usually read to my daughter, who's 12 right now. Her name is Jessica, at night. And we were inspired by him because we found out that he died in 1999. And then I decided, hey, why don't I try to emulate his style and kind of create a funny book of poetry and also do the illustrations. My daughter actually helped me draw some of these pictures in the book. And I think it adds to the book because we really wanted children. My whole goal was to have children to read this book and for families to read it together.
Yeah? How come?
Well, I mean, I think families are really important, and plus the whole fact that people are so involved in technology and they're busy and they don't have time to spend with their children. And this is a great way to get your whole family to do something together. Read a fun book, look at the pictures that we drew, read funny poetry, and just enjoy the time you spend together. Rather than, playing on your computer games and looking at your iPad. So it's a great way to involve your family, and it's a great way to spend, half an hour together.
So this book is actually about bringing people together, bringing families together. It's not just a random book.
Exactly. I'm a family man. I have a young daughter, and my whole idea was to get families to enjoy and laugh together, and just to spend quality time as opposed to, we're all busy doing things, and it's nice to spend quiet time just together, laughing and reading.
So, which of these poems really shows who you are as a person?
Well, there's 78 poems in this book. Most of them come with illustrations that both myself and my daughter Jessica, who's 12 right now, but she was 10 when she did those drawings. So I did about 70% of those drawings, and my daughter did about 30% of them. So I think the illustrations add to the stories and make it even funnier, and it really appeals to kids, because kids love to see things and not just, they just don't want to read, they want to see and see something that goes with the story. So that was my goal.
You know what? You took all the time, you have all the poems, 78 poems, all these illustrations to match it. Where did you find the time? If you're working 12 hours, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Well, I mean, I do it kind of when I have spare time. I do it sometimes when I'm on the train to work, or when I get home after I put my daughter to bed, after dinner, you know, when I'm settling down just to, something comes into my head. It may be something that happened during the day. You know, some of my poems are about medical things because I'm a medical doctor, like the flu and allergies, and some of my poems are dealing with kid stuff like slime, because my daughter loves making and playing with slime. Or I have a story, you know, one of my poems is about Superman and how we wish that he would come and kind of save us from all the craziness that's going on in the world. So, you know, there's something for everyone in this book, I think.
Well, that's nice. So, if you don't mind me asking, can you read out loud a passage for us?
Sure. My first poem I'm going to read is called Fear.
Yeah.
I have this fear of spiders and cockroaches too. When I see caterpillars or hornets, I freeze up like a statue. When a nightcrawler or beetle runs across my shoes, my stomach contents I tend to lose. When I hear the buzzing of a bee or see caterpillars crawling up a tree, I tend to want to hide immediately. Don't know why they're always pestering me. Why can't they just let me be? I'll try not to imagine lice in my hair or crickets or worms hiding out in my footwear. So if you could please help me, because I'm pretty scared, and get me another pair of underwear, because I think I just soiled myself down there. Here's the picture that goes along with that.
Okay, you or your daughter?
My daughter drew that one.
What? She's good.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
The second poem I have is called Frenemy.
So it took you 2 years to write this book, and I'm sure you're a full-time physician, so that probably took God knows how many years of school. How are you someone who's able to have delayed gratification and wait so long?
Well, a couple of things. Certainly writing a book and doing all the poetry and the illustrations, it takes time, it takes effort and persistence. And I mean, obviously I got through medical school, and I've been in practice for 24 years as a urgent care physician in New York City. So I've learned to kind of budget my time, and like anything, persistence and hard work and effort pays off. So I'm very proud of my book. And another reason I did it, not only for my family and for myself and to bond with my daughter, because it was collaboration obviously with my daughter, is that as a physician, there's definitely a link between laughter and health, because we know that even the simple act of smiling, your brain releases neurotransmitters such as like dopamine, serotonin. So all these things help you combat depression, lower your heart rate, lower your blood pressure. So those are great. Not only do you get benefits of being with your family, but you actually get health benefits from laughing and having fun and enjoying things. So hopefully people will realize that and buy my book. It actually is available on my own website, MikeLeePoet.com. It's available on Lulu.com, Amazon's website, BarnesandNobles.com, and hopefully bookstores one day.
I'm just imagining someone's sick and they walk in your office, and then you just tell them, hey, just read this book, come back in a week.
Yeah, maybe I'll make them feel better at least.
Yeah.
If I can't cure them, at least I can make them feel better.
Yeah. All right, and someone's about to read this book. What do you hope that they feel at the end of it?
Well, I hope they get their take-home messages that they, first of all, enjoy the book. Second of all, that it's not meant to be just read by yourself. It's meant to be read with your family and hopefully your kids and your grandkids. So I'm hoping that people will share it and enjoy it as families, because I'm a family man and I want people to gather together and just have fun and not spend so much time on their computers and playing their video games. So that's the goal.
Well, I'm sure everyone's going to be on MSN looking for this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Hello, my beautiful friends, and welcome back to the Etiquette Show. I'm Conchetta Rose. Today on the Etiquette Show, we have British author and entrepreneur, an advocate of alternative nutrition and diet methods. He appears regularly on television and radio in the UK and abroad. He has 45 books in print in 30 languages. The founder of the Institute for Optimum Nutrition, here to discuss vitamin C and COVID-19, is Patrick Holford. Patrick, thank you so much for being here with us today.
It's really a pleasure. There is so much that we can all do to protect ourselves from COVID and, in fact, any viral disease. And I think what people don't realize is that there's two halves of your immune system. There's what we call your innate immunity, and this is what normally wins against a cold or flu. It involves things like T cells you've heard about and so on. And then there's your acquired or learned immunity, where your body can actually map a virus and produce antibodies. Vaccines are about the learned or acquired immunity, but the first defense we all have is our innate immunity, and it depends upon vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, and other factors, which we'll probably get a chance to discuss in the longer interview. Now, I'm a very lucky man because I met a man called Dr. Linus Pauling. Dr. Linus Pauling was Einstein's buddy. He had 48 PhDs. He's the only man ever to have won 2 unshared Nobel Prizes. And when Einstein was asked, "Are you a genius?" he said, "If you want a real genius, it's Linus Pauling."
Wow.
And he spent 39 years researching vitamin C. And he taught me very early on that the minute you get the first signs of a cold or flu, you take a gram, like a vitamin C pill, every hour. Or if you like, 2 grams every 2 hours. But the minute you get that sniffle, the snuffle, the sore throat or anything, you whack in a gram an hour. It's not dangerous at all. And you keep going until the symptoms go away. Now, I'm 63 now. I've been doing this since my early 20s. And I have, I think, virtually never, maybe once or twice in my life, had a viral infection that's gone on for more than 24 hours. I think I had COVID in June. I had all the symptoms. It was pretty rough, but it took me 18 hours. At the end of 18 hours, with a high dose of vitamin C, I also took zinc. It really worked. And I'll tell you something else that is extraordinary, and all of this I can unpack, and there's no question it's a fact. The Chinese knew about vitamin C from SARS. So when COVID struck in Wuhan, which is 11 million population, about the size of London, they started to use high-dose vitamin C in the intensive care units. And they started the very first ever trial where on their seriously ill ventilated patients, half of them got intravenous drip with vitamin C and half sterile water. And this was published a few months ago, and they had 80% less mortality. 80% less mortality in the critically ill patients. Now, here's something that is never reported in the press, and this is a fact. On the 2nd of February, they shipped in 50 tons of vitamin C into Wuhan, 50 million grams, 50 million doses. And they gave it to every single hospital patient with COVID and all the hospital workers. Now, 2 months ago, I rang up Professor Zhong Peng. I'm in touch with professors in America, like Professor Paul Marek, all over the world. And I said, "How is it for you right now?" And he said, "I have not had in my intensive care unit, which is the biggest in Wuhan, I have not had a single COVID patient since May last year."
Wow.
Right? And I said, "Do you think the widespread distribution of vitamin C had anything to do with it?" And he said, "Yes, I do." So vitamin C has 2 effects. Number 1, it can save lives in the critical end. We can talk about that, when we have a full interview. And number 2, please have a supply, because if you ever get sick, just take a gram an hour until you don't have any symptoms. And just doing that is going to save so many lives.
That's absolutely amazing. I mean, you said so many things just now that just totally rocked my world. Well, you know, I do feel like maybe in this country, my information, I feel like, first of all, is rapidly changing. So I always feel like I have inaccurate information, even if I get it when the news story comes out. I do feel like by that time it's already diluted itself. And now that's just my opinion. But I have never heard this about vitamin C. Do you think that's something that can't be well known because of maybe side effects? I don't know, side effects or lack of.
I think the science is all there. We set up a campaign called vitaminc4covid.com. It's a number 4, but it doesn't matter. If you look up vitamin C for COVID, you'll see we have over 900 professors, doctors, nutritionists. We have over 60 countries represented. We've already published 120 papers on vitamin C. It's all there. It's not wacky. It's not weird. These are mainstream players. So the information does exist out there. But I have to tell you, it's being blocked. You know, there is a little algorithm in social media which doesn't like vitamin C, corona, and COVID. You know, it's a terrible thing. These nutrients, like vitamin D as well, very important. Vitamin D doesn't work like vitamin C. So just suddenly upping your dose during an infection, it takes a good 3-4 days to convert the vitamin D in a supplement into the hormone that works in the body. So ideally, we should all be having vitamin D anyway and have a good blood level. But vitamin C has an instant effect. I wrote this book, Flu Fighters, the minute COVID struck, so people would know. And there's a lot of free information. If you look up the title, flufighters.net, you can download it. It's, you know, Audible, Kindle, just come out in Italian and French. How about that?
Fabulous.
Yeah. And it's just coming out in Chinese as well. Wow. So yes, we need to learn about what we can do to boost our own immune system. There's a lot of science there, but there's a lot of very clear concepts. So if we just take a little bit of time, then you don't really have to be so frightened about this, you know, this thing, because the honest truth is nobody needs to die from the coronavirus unless they already have an end-stage disease. My colleagues in America, in their intensive care units, have about 5% mortality. The average is 40%. And they have not had a single death in anyone who didn't already have an end-stage disease and over 85. So in effect, and this might sound unbelievable, and when we have a chance to unpack it, you'll realize it's all there. In effect, you can, number one, shorten this infection massively if you do the right thing at the start. And number two, if you're treated right, you don't need to die. And that's a tremendously positive and important message to get across. Linus Pauling said that in the 1970s, but I'm sorry to say vitamin C is cheap. It's not patentable. It's not a drug. Nobody can make big bucks out of it. And unfortunately, I think that's one of the reasons that it's being sat on.
Yes, I see.
Yeah.
This is so fascinating. Much, much more with Patrick Holford right after this. Do you have a humorous social etiquette or dating related experience to share? Send in yours. And if we read aloud your experience during a television broadcast, we will send you a free copy of Andre Prince de Grace's intriguing new book entitled Infinite Shades of Happiness, Love and Virtual Dating. Email us at info@etiquetteshow.ca. That's info@etiquetteshow.ca.
Oh.